Hello everybody and welcome along to this week's edition of the Rebel Wide Ball. And prior to any further discussion about what may happen or what did happen, my thanks to people, sincere thanks to those of you who get back to us with comments, favourable or otherwise, on how we can improve this, and I'm sure there's ample space for that. Somebody suggested maybe that we should do one on a Monday. I'm not too sure about it, insofar as that I remember one time a radio personality giving his opinion that Cork people weren't really interested in hearing about sporting matters of the weekend on a Monday. But who knows, maybe sometime in the future. But anyway, prior to looking at anything on the sporting scene, what entertained us during the week, well, we thought it was kind of a relatively quiet week, and then another Leaving Cert story kept us entertained, and that's where they discovered the systems failure, and that as a result, a number of students are going to have their grades enhanced. And of course, there should be a number of students who would have their grades going the opposite way. That's not going to happen. What you have, you hold. And over the next couple of weeks now, people will get a higher grade, a higher number of points than what they got back in December to September. And this will create an entitlement, of course, to, courses maybe that they may have not have got. And there will be, I think this is going to be sorted out for them. Like everything that is humanly possible has been done for this Leaving Cert class. I know there's been some systems failures, but of course, if you think back to last May, when the opposition parties put so much pressure on the government, aided and abetted by all the do-gooders in social media, that the Leaving Cert should be cancelled for the mental health of the Leaving Cert students at the time. And, we were told that there was ample evidence from other countries to suggest that the calculated grades would work. And why wouldn't it work here if it works in every country? Well, we know now differently, don't we? And I would think going forward that changes will take place in this whole Leaving Cert the way it's done, but not in 2021. And I'd imagine those of you, if any of you listen to this, if you're doing your Leaving Cert in 2021, I wouldn't be putting too much store on the fact that it may be cancelled at the last minute. I don't think that's going to happen. So I might have to do a bit of study for this one. And you could be the Leaving Cert class that would really be the ones that would suffer, not the present incumbents who have got the best results of all time, despite the fact that not one of them ever sat in front of a Leaving Cert in a Leaving Cert exam hall. The government obviously, God, there's sometimes when you consider how much look they have, and that was emphasised this week, if you like, by the identical twins in Dublin. They were the Daly twins, and not alone were they identical in terms of physical features, but in terms of cerebral content, they're also top of the range. Both of them were getting high grades all through their exams and all through school, and the calculated grades that were submitted by their school should see that both of them would get 625 points. They're both interested in medicine. I know there's a HPAT exam there, but one of them got there and the other didn't. And of course, do you think that wasn't investigated? And that may have been one of the situations that caused, maybe a little bit of inquiry. I'm not too sure about that. And then you got to spare the thought for poor old Big Phil, Jody Buttimer and Dara Cleary, when you consider that the judge that was involved in all of this, Seamus Wolfe, by the brilliant delaying tactic of having an inquiry. And I believe during that inquiry, there was even an engineer brought forward. Now, you can imagine the delaying tactics apply here. An engineer had to go down to this place in Galway, measure up the room, and come up with some sort of a report to show that everything was okay. Anyway, the bottom line is he won't be losing his job, and had the other three gazebos come up with some sort of a suitable delaying tactic, we'd have forgotten about it. You probably, all of you have forgotten about it. No, everything in this country, there's murder for a week or so, and then if you can ride that out, you're okay. And then we had the great debate, or the great debacle between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. And I must confess that during my younger days in the square in Kenmare, after coming out of some public house prior to entering another hostelry, an odd scrap would break out between two guys that maybe had too much to drink. And I witnessed a few of those, and I not tell you, there was a lot more class in those battles than between these two during the week. And then, of course, we had the story that Donald had contracted the virus, which prompted all sorts of comments on social media. Somebody suggested that we, at this moment, should bow our heads and spare a thought for the virus. There is no end to what people will come up with. Anyway, in terms of Gaelic games, we have got a number of great county finals in hurling, and the Premier Senior Hurling Final is going to feature Blackrock with 32 titles versus Glen Rovers with 27. Glen Rovers, no doubt, are the best club hurling side in Cork, And they have been for the past, number of years winning the championship. I think was it in 2015 and 14. And then, Imokilly came along and caused them maybe not to win a couple of counties. Blackrock haven't won it with 18 years. And Glen Rovers will go into it as favourites because they have some great hurlers. They're they're in the county stars like Robert Downey and Steve McDonald and of course Patrick Horgan. And if you add the other members of the team onto it, some of those members would, if I'm not saying if they wanted to, but they'd feel comfortable playing in inter-county hurling, a huge amount of them. So they'll travel there as favourites at 4 o'clock on Sunday in Pocky Keep. But Blackrock, I think they're going to actually win this. Primarily because they're not going to win it because they're bad hurlers anyway. That's out the door. But they have some good hurlers and they have been very successful, at underage level, minor and under 21. Have difficulty, yes, in converting into senior currency. But the fact that their players were able to stay around this summer, they have a number of students who would have been off in J1s. They were all able to stay around the place. And, you have forwards like Michael O'Halloran, then you have Alan Connolly, who's 19 years of age, and you saw how many points he shot over last weekend. And then we have Ty Deasy, whether they start him or not may be a bit of a discussion, but I honestly think they may be a bit of a surprise here. And then the senior A hurling final between Charleville and Father O'Neill's, and again, they are, of course, they are the top two teams. I know maybe, the teams that were lost out in semi-finals would contest that theory, but certainly they're two of the best teams in this grade, and whoever win it, I'd imagine, will do quite well at Premier Senior next year. Who is going to win it though? I suppose Father O'Neill, the fact they're on a winning streak, except for losing last year's All-Ireland, which they were very unlucky to lose, to be very honest with you. And, they have Declan Dalton, which means he can point everything. Every free outside his own 45 is over the bar, and maybe one or two beyond. And then Billy Dunn, if he's in form, I know there's some story about him carrying an injury. Like, there's so many points in hurling. I often wonder, should they up the grade? Should they up the status of a goal maybe from 3 to 4 points? Because there's a paucity of goals in hurling matches. That I know one or two people have said to me like that hurling is turning into a little bit of ping pong, point here and puck it out and over the bar. But anyway, you'll still enjoy this one. Charleville have a good team as well, and they've recovered well from not having been O'Connor in charge this year. I thought that would be going to be a bit of a problem with them, and of course Dara Fitzgibbon is such a player for them. So I think Father O'Neill's may win that. That game goes on Saturday. The other game Sunday, I should have said that, you're 4 o'clock and 12:30. Then you have the I nearly skipped the Premier Senior hurling final between Blarney and Castlelyons. They met earlier. Castlelyons won it. Blarney have been playing better since then, and a number of their players were outstanding for UCC as well, none more so than Paddy Power and Shane Barrett. And they obviously will be really up for this, and they'll be out to make amends for that defeat by Castlelyons when they played poorly on the night. But I think Castlelyons are kind of a bit more battle-hardened, and Conor Spillane moving up to centre forward, is definitely going to be a big thing for them. So I think Castlelyons may get over the line there. But look, any of those three hurling finals, watch them if you can, because they're going to be outstanding, in my book at least. Then in football, and hasn't been outstanding, the Premier Senior football, a lot of not great fare, to be fair about it. We're at semi-final stage. It goes without saying that any of the 4 teams can win it. I think Castlehaven will. They're playing the Bars on Sunday night, and the Bars have yet to recover the form that made them great champions when they won it in 2018. They've been rather sluggish this year, and I think Castlehaven will get over them. And then Nemo Rangers and Joe Holland. Sure, every time that Nemo Rangers play, maybe they don't play that well, but they win their matches. And I think that they'll probably win that one as well. That game goes on early in the afternoon, 2 o'clock on Sunday. And then, of course, the Bars game is at night. We have a Premier Senior football semi-final, and that is a match between, who's playing that now? Kilnamartyr and Kanturk. And here, Kilnamartyr are kind of the side they're fancied. And the fact that they gave a hocking to Knocknagree, remember? 7 goals. Where are Knocknagree now? Waiting in the final, relaxing, and they can travel to Mallow. Well, they can watch it. Probably some of them will travel to Mallow. They can watch the semi-final between Kanturk and Kilnamatra. What Kanturk wouldn't do to get a clatter of Knocknagree, I would imagine, should be the driving force for them to get them over the line. But Kilnamatra, beautiful football team, outstanding players, great club, small area with a 40 in a panel, and but now they're under the pressure. Sometimes when you're favourites and you're expected to win it and go up the line. So yeah, I'm really interested in this game, let me tell you, and I'll be more interested in the final between whoever wins it and Knocknagree. And we've 2 games in the Intermediate A Football Championship, obviously semi-finals at this stage, and Glanmort will play Rockchapel, and maybe Glanmort now would be the slight favourites here in that they have come good. They were beaten earlier on by their neighbours, I think it was Mitchelstown, and were they to win here, and I think they might. And of course they're involved in the hurling as well in North Cork, and mentioning that hurling championship in North Cork, why that wasn't played out to an end last week is a bit surprising. Now, nobody's in favour of these penalties, but people realise that these matches should be finished on the day, and that should have been as well between themselves and Kilshannig. But anyway, it is football this weekend. And the other game here, we have got Ahabullock and Mitchelstown. And Ahabullock, what a year it has been for them. You know, I suppose that the massive fundraiser that they did, which was awesome in the way that it unified that parish and it gave it a sense of what it's all about. And then their hurling team are in their hurling team are in the county final. Their Camogie team got to a county final, and now their football team is 1 hour away from it. But they're up against Mitchelstown, and to be fair, Mitchelstown have been the forum team in this championship, and for that reason I sort of fancied them. Then we have got the Junior A Hurling Championship, the quarterfinals, 3 quarterfinals, and I don't know whether I've said this to you in the past, but the winners of this championship, I mean, to win a junior county is huge, and it stays in the memory of anybody that has ever won a junior county championship medal. But this year it is even more so for the hurlers, because when they'll be promoted, they'll go up to the next grade. They won't go up to the lower intermediate, go up into the Intermediate A Championship and probably pass a few neighbours on the way up. And remember, all those teams in the lower intermediate will be relegated next year. So this is a big championship, and the winners here, it's high currency stuff. And the first quarter-final pairing is between Drumtariff and Brian Dillons. And Brian Dillons have been a little unlucky not to have won this championship in the past. They're a really good side. They were they were good winners in the city. And I know they dearly love to get out and play in the county championship and move up a grade. But they're coming up against the Drumtariff team, who were on a hurling trajectory a couple of years ago, and then they started into the football arc and won a county football championship, which was a complete surprise. But all these guys are serious hurlers, and they proved that last week in the Hall of Final. For that reason, I give them the nod. The next one then is between Lisgould and Inniscarra. It's Inniscarra's second team, but don't let that fool you. All of those players, as we said before, have played hurling at underage level at the higher level than maybe Lisgould would have. But Lisgould are from East Cork, and when you win a East Cork Junior Hurling Championship, there's nearly an expectancy on you. Hey, move on, win a county. It was Lisgould's first time winning the East Cork Championship, and I think they will continue on a great tradition of East Cork teams there. And the final pairing is between Clonakilty and Kinsale. I'm not too sure that either of them are going to end up as county champions, but I think Clonakilty may win this one. Kinsale were delighted with their victory over Shamrocks in that rather, well, I won't say controversial, I'll move on from it, final last week. But Clonakilty, they laboured a little bit in their victory over St. Mary's. And St. Mary's, who were appearing their first final since 1987, have never won it, nearly did. But I think Clonakilty have just a few more better hurlers than Kinsale have, but I could be wrong. Junior B Championship, and this is it, this is their day. And there's 2 Junior B football championships, as there is 2 Junior B hurling championships in Cork. One of them is for those that win their Junior B in the division, and the other is an open county. And the one here I'm talking about is an open county championship on this occasion. And we've 6 games in the round 1, and the first one is Deal Rovers versus Ballinacurra, and that game goes on Saturday in Castlelyons. Deal Rovers are from Milford. I think they would be better than Ballinacurra. I have no great evidence to suggest that, but I'd imagine that all the Milford hurlers play football when it comes to this grade at least. Then we've Kilbreen versus Goleen. What geographical distance, massive between them. And because Kilbreen have been, more active, they probably have more players, Colleen, very small players, and have played at the, at a bigger stage maybe, but I still think that Kilbreen may get over this one. Randlogue and Shanballymore, I know nothing about Shanballymore in terms of football, but Randlogue they're actually more of a hurling team from the Ballygutchine area outside Dunmanway in West Cork. But when they put on, they're really proud of that particular jersey that they wear. So I think that pride may get them over the line. Those games are on at 3 o'clock on Saturday at various venues around the place. Then we've Doneraile and Abbey Rovers, and I think Abbey Rovers around Casttown Road were champions at Junior C champions in 2018. And for that reason, and that reason only, we're going to think they're going to win that one. Garnish and St. John's, my God, what a pairing here. St. John's only came into existence, was it back in 2010? And back then Garnish were, heavy hitters in the Beara Junior Football Championship. But since then, their fortunes, as have a lot of clubs in the Beara division, fallen, mainly because of immigration. Garnish should be lucky to have a team. No, sorry, they will have a team, but they certainly won't have a big bench. And no, St. John's won't be either. A small club over on Mill Street in the Kilcorny area. And to be a major surprise if Garnish didn't win it, even though that they will struggle with numbers, no doubt in the world. And the St. John's are called after a well. Were they to win this one, I tell you, they'd be heading to that will of, or maybe it was the Garnish guys that'd be heading to the will. Dripsy and Glengariff, well, the only thing we know about Glengariff is they won the Beara Junior B Championship a couple of weeks ago, and I suppose that has given a bit of momentum. And Dripsy, I'd imagine, like their hurling team, are a little bit ageing at this stage. That game goes on Glengariff. And in the divisions, we have the Carrickdown division, who were still at quarter final in their Junior Football Championship. Why? Don't ask me. 10 clubs, but they do things a little differently in that division, and I think they're fine. There's Courcey Rovers playing a quarter final against Shamrocks, and that game goes on in Brinny on a Sunday. On Sunday, yes, at 1 o'clock, and in the other semi-final, sorry, not the other semi-final, the winners there are going to play Ballymart in a semi-final, and then we have Ballinhassig playing Valley Rovers in Riverstick on Saturday evening. I fancy Valley Rovers there, not for any major reasons, but Ballinhassig don't take the football that seriously. They could if they wanted to, but they seem to concentrate more on hurling. And then we have the teams going forward in the Munster Championship in the ladies football. We have 2 Cork clubs playing quarter-finals. In the intermediate on Saturday at 2 o'clock, we have Clonakilty. In Clonakilty, we're welcoming a team from North Kerry. They're known as Finuig St. Sinans. And if they're anything like their male counterparts, believe me, they won't be for the faint-hearted. Gaelic football in North Kerry is serious stuff and serious operators, and I'd imagine the female version would be a bit like that as well. Valley Rovers, who won the County Junior Championship, playing the Munster Junior quarter-final against Tremor on Sunday at 12 o'clock. They should win that one. And then in hurling, we have Courcey Rovers, who won their first senior championship last week, and what a win it was for them, and what a welcome home they got from their people, from areas like Battles Cross, from the Speckled Door over to the Seven Crosses. What beautiful names. And the whole parish bought into it, and well done to the parish for doing that. This was a team that represented these people as good as any of the male teams from Courcey Rovers, and the welcome home they got after. I know, I'm not going to dwell too much on it, but let me tell you, it was a proud day for them. And their first senior, they're senior now for 20 years, and this is their first senior county, and they travelled to Clare to Ina Kilnamona on Sunday. I don't know whether Ballinasbittle, Ballinadee people, wherever in that part of Clare. They face a tough battle. Clare teams always, they're good Camogie teams up there as well. I suppose it depends on how seriously they took it during the week. After winning such a great match against Inniscarra. But anyway, we wish them well, and we wish Inniskeen well as well. They travel to Galtier in Waterford. It's Dunmore East, and this club are senior in Waterford, regular winners of the Munster Championship. And but I think Inniskeen, they haven't met Inniskeen yet, and it should be another great day for this club who had their day in the sun a couple of weeks ago. So that is, my dear friends. So until the next time, Slán agus Beannacht.